annual week.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Ready?
You,
All right, we are back. This is Trevitt's book, Secret Warriors number 8, and he's going to take it away. Let us know the rundown of events here, and we'll tell you whether to buy, borrow, or forget it altogether.
yes, yes. So Secret Warriors number 8, written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Javier Garon, Will Robson, with colors by Israel Silver and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles, with a beautiful cover by Javier Garon. Garon, whatever. I
Yeah,
can't.
it is a
Yeah, this
crazy
is one
cover.
of
I
those.
like it.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful. So the solicit goes a little something like this: versus Mr. Sinister parts 1. You know, the solicit says parts 1 2, but I forgot to knock the S off the part. So part 1, Mr. Sinister turns his experimental talents on Inhumans. Sinister has plagued the X-Men for years in his attempt to jump forward mutant kind's next evolutionary step. Now he's looking to evolve Inhumans by kidnapping and torturing them. It's up to the Secret Warriors, the greatest team of Inhumans on Earth, to stop him. But what happens when their most fearsome warrior, Karnak, leaves to pursue his own agenda? Question mark. And that's the solicit. The funny part is, it's a 2-part solicit. Like, the solicit's for part 1 and part 2, and after that question mark, there's a sentence for the issue number 9, and that's the solicit for issue number 9, just like a fucking
They
sentence, and
put them
that's it.
2 in 1.
Yeah, they put them 2 in 1, so it's like versus Mr. Sinister parts 1 and 2 for this month. I love in the credits page they always have a quote
Mm-hmm.
from different people, either like a literary character or a character from the comic book or an author or like a president or something. There's just always a quote, and this month's quote is, or week's rather, is, secrets are generally terrible. Beauty is not hidden, only ugliness and deformity. L.M. Montgomery. That's pretty cool. I love that he does that. They get a lot of letters in this book too. In the back of the page, there's always like fucking 2 pages of letters. One time I think I saw 3 pages of letters, which is fucking crazy. So all right, this is it. This is the arc. This whole entire series has been dropping seeds for us since it started. Like they used the Secret Empire arc to, not only to be a tie into Secret Empire, but Matthew Rosenberg took an aspect of Secret Empire and used it to create his own long-running story that was leading to this, which is pretty fucking cool. He made it work for him instead of being like some books get all tied up when it comes to tie-ins and they don't tell their own story. But a lot of the writers during Secret Empire decided to tell their own story within that set universe, which I really, really liked. So you didn't really feel like, as much as you were getting a tie-in for an event, you were still getting the story that was it didn't hold it. None of the books were in a holding pattern. They still moved forward. So that was pretty cool. So we start this issue off in Dearborn, Michigan at 3 p.m. with what looks like all the Marvel heroes all lined up in their old uniforms, but turns out it's just kids playing with their hero toys and going on about, yeah.
I know. I was
And
really pumped there. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's get into this.
yeah, I was like, look at all these guys. And it's funny, the artist on these pages, this page and the Karnak pages is Will Robson. So it's 2 different artists in this book. Will Robson for this and the Karnak, and then Javier Garin for all the Secret Warrior stuff.
Yeah, this is like some of the art I love. Like, I hate some of the stylized takes, but depending on the title, really, for me personally. But like, this is like, if they settled on this as kind of a house style, I wouldn't hate it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
It's
yeah,
really good
no.
art.
I like them. I like them both. I especially like Garen's, but I like this too because it still fits the Garen's style. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not a jarring transition from one artist to the other. If it still feels good. But so the kids are arguing over which hero is most powerful, and then you see a foot just trample Captain America and crush him, and his head falls off. And it's Mr. Sinister. He's walking by with Dark Beast and a bunch of other bad guys that I don't know. I'm not sure who
Yeah. I
exactly they
didn't really
are.
know Dark Beast myself.
Yeah, just I'm guessing it's unless someone can correct me, because Aaron messaged me and he's like, "Do you know who any of these other guys are besides Dark Beast or Mr. Sinister?" I was like, "I have no fucking clue," but I'm
Yeah.
assuming they could just be like Inhumans that Mr. Sinister fucking experimented on. So so yeah, so they're chilling, fucking with these little kids, and they stop for a minute and just start talking shit to these kids. The kid's like, "Hey, you broke my toy," and he's like, "You're gene trash." Like, what the fuck? He's like, the product of a drunken one night stand and failed marriages and bad genes combining with bad genes. You're not special. And look, I am special. And then we cut over to, as we turn the page, we cut over to Karnak's office at Enelux, uh, the Enelux office in Venice, Italy, at 1 a.m. Well, Ahura is looking for Karnak, and he finds him in his fucking underwear. he,
He's not possessed when his eyes are all white like that, right? Or
no,
is
no,
he?
no. No, his eyes aren't possessed. Some people, like, some books you'll see him, his eyes are always white like that, and sometimes people will draw him with like actual just like pupils and whatnot. So
Okay. Yeah, that throws me off sometimes. I'm always like, does he do this when he meditates or what's going on?
yeah, it depends on who draws him. Um, let's blow out smoke there for a second. So yeah, she's sitting there chilling in his underwear, and Ahura came to check on him, see what he's been up to since he accepted his position, because right now he's thinking that he's not doing shit. But
Yeah.
it
And
just
he's
turns
got
out,
like paper stapled all over the walls of the room.
yeah, he's got paper everywhere, all over the doors, just fucking. I'm surprised it's not on the ceiling. But yeah, he's actually very, very good at his job. So, Ahura was under the impression that he was slacking off. And, Karnak tells him that, he's like, you're supposed to be in charge of the global shipping network. Like, what the fuck have you been doing? And he's like, the global shipping network's at 98.8% efficiency. But he still presses him for like what he's working on. Like, what's up with all this fucking paper? What the fuck are you doing? And he tells him that it's none of his business. And like, he's just floored. He's like, none of my fucking business. What are you talking about? This is my company. None of my
Yeah,
business.
I like the quote he says there. He's like, "It is my business. It is literally my
It's
business."
literally my business. Yeah, I love that. That was hilarious. Ugh, I got a little bit of a cold here. My throat's all fucked up. But so yeah, then, because this book likes to hop around a lot, which I kind of love the way they do it too, because it's flip the page and it'll, the heading will be Toledo, Ohio,
Yeah, that's
7
the one
p.m.
reason I don't mind it is because they really kind of spell you out where they are, what time it is, because you can keep
Yeah,
track of it all in your mind.
I love that. And sometimes they do, like, I forget which exact issue it was. I think it was like the last one or the one before, where they did something very cool with that. Like, they were telling like all three different stories that were happening at the same time, or like one story was happening after another, but in like different time zones and parts of the world. It was pretty fucking awesome. Um, so now we're in Toledo, Ohio, with the Secret Warriors at the scene of the crime from the end of the last issue, where Dante's niece, Dante, aka Inferno, his niece was kidnapped by Dark Beast, and they're trying to figure out, what to do next. And they're bickering, because they're always fucking bickering, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. Like, Miss Marvel. I mean, if you know Miss Marvel, like, he nails her character. Like, how she can be like an annoying, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
yeah. I mean, if you know Miss Marvel, you know how she can be. Like, whether you're reading Champions or her own title or old Avengers issues, you know how she is. And Miss Marvel's being Miss Marvel, and Quake is kind of like a hard nosed like bitch. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't suffer like annoying people very well, and she's just fucking mean. So they're always bickering with each other, and Miss Marvel wants to be in charge and Quake wants to be in charge, but I think Quake kind of is in charge, because later on it all starts to look like that. But anyway, so they're all bickering, and it's kind of funny, and Quake asks Lunella if she has any ideas, and she kind of does, which is funny, because Lunella is always the person, this like young little like girl who goes to elementary school, is always the person they turn to and go, so what's going on?
Yeah. Like, tell us
you
what
know,
to do
do you got
almost.
a plan? Yeah, tell us what to do. Did you find any clues? You got the plan? And that's kind of like a running joke throughout the issue, is like everybody looking to Quake, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then Lunella's like, I got it. Like, that's the whole thing. It's fucking hilarious. So they ask her if she has any ideas, and she tells Quake if she could get a look at Dark Beast's equipment, she could figure out what he's trying to accomplish, and just what, not only what he's trying to accomplish, but where he's been, what he's done, stuff like that. So the person to ask would be Karnak. So, one sec. So once they come to that conclusion, they hear a thump from the ceiling. So they go up to check it out because, someone already broke in and stole a child. God knows who else could be fucking coming in. So they go upstairs to investigate and check it out. And they bust open the door without, even a thought. They just kick open the door and start blasting. Dante's throwing fucking fire, Quake's throwing quakes. And she this is fucking hilarious.
Dante looks sweet in the top panel when they bust through the door and he's shooting fire.
Yeah, he does. He looks fucking dope. I didn't like. I like the way he looks right there better than I've seen people draw Johnny Storm.
Yeah. I'm sure it's like some filters on the computer or whatever. I'm sure it's not all technically drawn like that, but it does. Regardless, it looks sweet as hell.
Yeah. I feel like when I look at this, I feel like it's drawn digitally, and the colors are done digitally.
It looks a lot like Manipul, like it's all done on the computer, kind of.
Yeah, it really does. Because even when like I was reading All Star Superman the other day, and that's I think it's penciled regularly, but it was digitally inked and digitally colored, and you can tell the difference between a digital inked and colored book and like a regular old fashioned way they do it. Because the colors are just more vibrant and high definition, and he just looks so defined in every panel, even when he's falling backwards, because he busts in that door and he's ready to throw like a fire blast, and Quake steps in front of him and fucking pushes him back, and he just falls back to the ground, which is fucking hilarious, because he's like, I'm ready for you now, and she's like, move, and pushes him out of the way, which is just fucking hilarious. So so she sends her little quake blast, and then the intruder's not there. They just disappear. And then they turn around, they have no idea where this person is. They turn around, and Magic's there holding her soul sword to Miss Marvel's throat. And, and Magic comes in. She's like, I didn't come here to fight you guys. And Inferno has a problem with mutants. He's not, since IVX, he's kind of like a racist motherfucker. Yeah, he's a mutant racist. Like ever since Wolverine stuck those claws through his chest, he's been like a bit of a mutant racist. I mean, old man Logan stuck the claws through his chest. So she's like, I didn't come here to fight, and he's like, you could have fooled me. Like, what the fuck? You just put a fucking sword to her throat. So they're all trying to figure out why she's here, and she's like, I came to help, And they're confused because they just had a war with the X-Men. Why would an X-Man come and help us? And she's not fond of these people. She doesn't honestly give a shit about them. But she got a call, basically. She got some information from other X-Men, and this gets really kind of funny because Lunella tells them that she told Dust, who's an X-Men, who told Armor, and Armor told Magic, and everyone wants to know, like, how you talk to X-Men, like, how the fuck did you get her, like, the information to her? How do you know all these mutants? And she starts talking about the forums. And fucking Dante's like, what's the forum? She's like, you don't know the forums? It's the message board for superhero. It's got Mass Master, who's one of the kids from Power Pack, the cool Wasp, Wiccan, the cool Spider-Man, meaning Miles, America, fucking Amadeus Cho, Sister Grimm, who's Nico from the Runaways, Nova, and I love her. She's like, even Hercules for some reason, and they got the little icons for every character, and Hercules looks just fucking hilarious. Which is true, because they're all kids, they're all teenagers and small children, and for some reason this like couple thousand-year-old demigod is fucking sitting there talking to the little kids.
Yeah, he likes to mix up in the drama.
Yeah, he likes to mix it up. But it actually does kind of make sense because, one day all the adult heroes are going to die off and go away, and he's going to be friends with these kids when they're adults. So why not, get in good with them now?
Yeah, he's getting in with the second generation.
Yeah, get in with the second generation. He's immortal, why not? It makes sense. So the team is not keen about help from the X-Men. But and Dante especially, Dante goes through Inferno goes through a holier than thou, like, this is bullshit. No fucking way. I'm not working with these fucking people. And his sister steps in and says, "You know what?" She's like, "You have nothing to say. You were supposed to be watching my daughter. She got taken. It's all your fault." She's like, "So if the weird sword lady wants to help, then fuck you. She's gonna help." So damn, I just gotta take a sip of water real quick. So they get started. They all get in a circle, and Magic whips up a portal. That fucking looks beautiful too. She whips up the portal, and they all teleport over to Dark Beast's abandoned lab, which I guess was in New Tian from Secret Empire. I think I remember him having. Yeah.
I don't really remember Dark Beast and Secret Empire much. I guess I didn't read the book.
Well, it was from the Secret Warriors issues. He wasn't really in any of the X-Men books, but it was when they were going to look for Karnak's son. Because that's what when they all got together, Karnak was like, "My son," or they said, not he didn't say my son at first. He said, "There's an Inhuman that could probably, solve all of our problems." I forget exactly what his name was. And when they got there, he was like, the kid was like, "Dad," and they were like, "Dad, that's your kid? We didn't even know you fucking had a kid." And he actually gave the kid, Karnak gave the kid to Dark Beast to experiment on. So so they get there, and Lunella's all excited. She loved teleporting because she's used to driving in that small, compact car where it fucking stinks and you have to smell everybody. And Dante's not feeling it. He's puking it. I love the joke because he's like, "Do you ever puke after you do that?" And she's like, "Certain types of people, yes." like weak people, yeah, people like you. So they look for clues, and Miss Marvel's being annoying, and which is kind of funny because she gets called out on it by it. She's like, "What are we looking for?" Magic's like, "Clues." She's like, "What kind of clues?" She says to fucking Daisy. Daisy's like, "How should I know?" And I love Magic says to Quake, "Is she always like this?" She's like, "No, usually she's more annoying," which is so fucking true. She is so fucking annoying. So I totally agree with that. But
yeah, so she can be a little wordy with her moral stances, basically.
She really can. She's always wordy with her moral stances and true to her nature. Like even in Champions, she was like this, and in the beginning of Secret Warriors, she was like this. When she wants to be the leader of the group, and she thinks she should be the leader of the group, and even if she has like the least experience, and she doesn't want to listen to anybody else, but she still doesn't have a fucking half a clue what she's doing. So that just makes it even more ridiculous. So Lunella ends up finding something and looks it up on the internet to see, where he got it and if he's getting more equipment, where it's being shipped to, so they can find out where he is. So she logs into SRP Supplies, which I guess is it's either a subsidiary of Enulix or Karnak has some serious fucking hacking skills, because it looks like he's manipulating the data to point them in the right direction, which is Althea Industries. So they teleport to Althea Industries in Clearwater, Florida at 1 a.m. So I think they all set out. I like that give you a time frame, right? Because when we first met up with them at Dante's sister's house in Ohio, it was what, 7 p.m. So
yeah, I think the first one was 7.
Yeah. So it's been 6 hours since Magic showed up and they went off. So they've been together for a little while now. So they teleport over there, and everybody seems to be a little sick. Miss Carmela seems to be a little sick. Quake, Dante, fucking, they're puking and shit. And Magic makes the joke. A lot of jokes, and everyone is looking for clues again. And Inferno. It was a jokey book, and it usually is. Either it's like a blatantly jokey book, like characters are like calling each other out and making fun of each other for like shit that you'll notice in other books from the same, from these characters, or they're just like straight making jokes, which is cool because you get your action, you get your adventure, and you get some jokes. It's kind of like a Marvel movie, actually, in that respect. So everyone's looking for clues again, and Inferno asks Quake, what they should be looking for. And she gets annoyed because people keep asking her that, and everybody keeps looking to her because I guess she's an agent of Shield. she's out of everybody there, you know, Dante's a new Inhuman, Miss Marvel's a new Inhuman, Lunella's a new Inhuman. She's the only one who has experience and was actually trained by Nick Fury. So everybody keeps looking to her, and she's used to being solo, like, for the past little while, and she's just not really having it. But Lunella finds the clue again, so that just seems to be a theme. And oh yeah, and they did make a good joke that I never really thought of before. Like, everybody always makes a joke about how many Wolverines there are, or how many books they're in and stuff, but nobody ever really mentions how many beasts there are, because there's regular beasts, there's young
there's
beasts,
3 now.
dark beast. Yeah, there's 3 beasts. I mean, you don't see them all the time, so it doesn't really dawn on you, you know. But there's a lot of fucking beasts in this universe, Age of Apocalypse beasts and shit. So then they find another clue, and it's Essex Scientific, you know. So right then and there, Magic snatches the evidence, which is a packing slip, because, you know, the name Essex, the X-Men have a long history with Mr. Sinister. So right there, it pops in her brain, but it just doesn't go over well with Quake. So she has to lay down some ground rules, you know. Don't snatch shit from the kid. Don't take out and lead like you're a part of this group, because you're not, because they still have that rough history. So even though Magic is along for the ride, and I do hope eventually she becomes part of the team full time, right now they're still on like thin ice when it comes to their relationship, you know. So Jesus Christ, my throat. So they have their little tiff, and then they hear a guard say, "Who's there?" You know, and they just teleport away right away. And the guard comes out, makes a joke about having to quit drinking, and they teleport to the address of where the packing slip, you know, the address that was on the packing slip, where all Dark Beast's equipment is going to. And then Quake rips open the door, and they make their way inside, and they fight these 2 genetic freaks. Like, they look like rag dolls, kind of like with mech waists and kind of legs. They just look all
They
fucked
look
up.
like fucked up creations. Yeah,
They really do. They look like something you might see in like Ninja Turtles, like Rocksteady and Bebop, but only like like really patchworked, really just fucked up versions of them. So yeah, they fight them while they're looking for Dark Beast and looking for Inferno's niece. And then there's a joke about yeah, that's a pretty funny joke with, you know, after Quake takes out one of them, and she's like, "Thanks for covering my backside." And he's like, "I love your backside, covering it. I love it, covered." Like, she's like, "You're having a real banner of a day." And Dante kind of has been that character, like kind of a dopey dumbass. I mean, he's very new to this, so he's one of the new humans. So, but he's just kind of a goof. He's really a goof, and I'm not surprised why he's not off with, you know, Grid and everybody in Royals, or with ISO at Adeline. It makes sense why he's with this ragtag group of Inhumans. So Magic goes off on her own and kicks some ass, fighting the more genetic freaks, and Miss Marvel ends up helping her out and stopping her from killing them, because, you know, Miss Marvel is a goody two shoes, and she doesn't want to kill anybody. Was she part of that group in Secret Empire, Black Widow's little like Red Room children assassin thing that she tried to start?
Who
Was she one of fucking Miss Marvel? Was she one of them? Or
yeah, it
no,
was
she
the
was with these.
champions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, she was with them, because, you know, she's got that. Even if someone deserves to die, she won't let. If she's in the presence of someone who's about to kill somebody else, she's gonna stop them, and that kind of annoys me sometimes, because I'm like, kill that motherfucker, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she has her goody two shoes bullshit. But anyway, so Lunella ends up finding what they're looking for. She ends up stumbling upon this giant room of all these inhuman children being experimented on in these tubes, and we get a to be continued. So, you know, we're gonna find out more on that 2 weeks from now in the next issue. So I can't wait to see what happens, because when Mr. Sinister, judging by that cover, you know what I mean, because he clones himself and whatnot. So if you look at that cover, if it's any indication of what the fight's going to be like, I can't fucking wait. Not to mention like all the crazy inhuman children that he's experimented on, and what kind of crazy powers they might have. But I really like this issue. I liked it just as much as I liked every other issue from this series. It had great art. It had a fun story. It kept me intrigued, and it had a lot of good comedy to it. But it wasn't forced comedy. You know what I mean? It was good situational humor. I really enjoyed it, and it's a buy for me. I can't talk to my throat fucking kills.
Yeah, I like this issue too. It was I mean, it was a fun read, like well paced, and the jumping around, you don't get lost because of the way the issue's set up with the title headings up top. I think for this cast of characters, like Rosenberg does a good job of playing them off one another, especially them being characters I don't like or really like to follow. So he does a good job of holding my interest. As far as reading about characters I don't give a shit about. I take that as a sign of a good comic book, and I did enjoy the art. I don't know. I don't enjoy Mr. Sinister so much as other people do, but the story is interesting enough to make me want to follow and see how it concludes. I guess since it's only a 2-part anyway. Before we wrap this all up and move on with the book, or if it ends, I don't really know what's going on with its future. But
it's ongoing. It's gonna keep going.
Is it still going on?
Yeah, it's ongoing.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is a buy. I like to actually just a little spoiler for ahead because we got another Matthew Rosenberg book coming up. I like the way he writes this book as opposed to that one a little better. So I think he just handles a cast of characters better than he handles like an individual character personally.
He does handle cast characters really well.
I would like to see him tackle a better, bigger team book in the future because I like the way he writes it personally.
And with the exception of Quake and Magic, like the rest of the characters are characters that I would normally like not give another thought, and I
like Quake too.
Yeah, I mean those two characters I really like. Quake's a regular in this book, and she's my favorite character in the book, set Magic aside because she's just featured in this issue. But like every other character, like Inferno, anything I've ever read him in, sometimes he kind of annoys me. Miss Marvel always annoys me, and Lunella, she's a cool character, but I really just don't care about her because she's
I don't care about her either. I'm the same way with those 3 Inhumans you just mentioned.
Yeah,
I like Magic, I like Quake, and I like the way that he uses Inferno and writes him, but I don't like him as a character.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing I said. Like I like about one of the things I like about this book is that the way he writes them makes me interested. You know what I mean? Like, even though I don't like these characters, he does a good enough job writing them and writing the story that I actually enjoy reading them in this story. Where normally I would never even give a second thought to picking up one of their books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. And that just shows skill right there. Like someone was saying the other day, I forget who it was, but they were saying like, don't blame the character, blame the writer. Like if you have a character that a lot of people think is lame, like take Cyborg from DC for instance. Like you could do so many fucking cool things with Cyborg, or like the latest Flash run and how lame it is. Like you could do so many cool things with Flash, but it's been so fucking lame, and that's because the writers just don't know what to do with those characters. So like here we have a writer who knows the characters and knows how to use them in a fun and or interesting way, so I really appreciate that when it comes to this book.
I do. It was interesting that he got me because this isn't a book I follow or read unless we cover it on the podcast. So each time I've read it, because he's done all the issues, right?
Every issue.
So each time I think we've done 3 now on the podcast. Each time I've read it, I have enjoyed the book and how it's set up and it's
they've all been buys.
It's brand of comic book. It is. It's just a good, well-paced, interesting, well-done book. So I would say this one's a buy for me as well. So we got a borrow and a buy in our first section there. What'd you say?
I was gonna say the shame in it. I was talking about this with Aaron. Well, they were talking about it on Twitter, so I think someone said it. And Matthew Rosenberg saw the conversation and he liked our comments, so I know he saw it. And we were saying the shame in this book is it has low sales, but I think the problem was that like a lot of people thought it was just for Secret Empire, and they didn't really understand that it was
it
going to be an
launched during
ongoing.
Secret Empire and was immediately
Yeah,
tied into it. So
exactly, and it
it
had
was
like
a poor,
secret in the
yeah,
title.
it was a poor editorial decision to do all that. It should have had a life before the event to get
It should have. It
an
really should have.
audience involved in it that way. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up book section 1. We're gonna go off to the midpoint marvelous facts here, where we got 2 people to feature for you guys. We got Forbushman, who was in the Not Brand Eck book, and we got Nick Fury Jr., who is in the upcoming Punisher book we're about to cover here after this section. But we'll start off with Forbushman and then transition to Nick Fury Jr. He's got a strange history. He first appeared as Irving Forbush in a comic titled Snafu #1 back in November of 1955. And then he officially became Forbush Man in Not Brand Eck #1, and that didn't come out until August 1967. He's a creation of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And we'll give you some facts on this dude here, because he was basically I mean, I knew of the Not Brand Eck comic. I never really picked one up before. So he was a new character to me, basically. And we'll give you the lowdown. Yeah. It's a strange comic name, isn't it? Irving Forbush. So his original origin as the individual was a lowly office gopher at Marvel Comics who lived in a house. I'm sorry, let me repeat this. Irving Forbush was a lowly office goofer, not a gopher, not an animal, who lived in a house with Auntie Mayhem, his shrewd old aunt. One day, in a moment of anger, Forbush's aunt slammed a cooking pot over his head, giving him the inspiration for his disguise that would make him Forbush Man. Prior to Next Wave, I guess that's a run of comics. I didn't really do much research into that. Something involving Marvel. So prior to Next Wave, he had no powers, but lots of dumb luck, which was the only way he defeated enemies. So kind of Gwenpool-esque there. You know something about Next Wave or no?
No, I was looking at, they have one power listed on fucking Wikipedia. It's like Forbush vision shows the recipient a hell of their own creation.
Yeah, that was just the part I was getting to next. In Next Wave, by removing his helmet so the pot slammed over his head, Forbush Man is able to project ultra-realistic visions of a person's personal hell into their mind. Their mind could not take the pain anymore, and they died. The power had no effect on Tabitha Smith, who has no mind worth affecting. So I guess that's his only power, other than just having a pot on his head, and just some crazy stuff about Forbush Man and Irving Forbush as a whole. The person we just read about in Not Brand Etch, who pops in between the stories. Little Alfred E. Newman type character there. But yeah, unless you got anything else to add to Forbush Man there, we're going to continue on to Nick Fury Jr.
There were these 2 funny sentences that I read right here. It's like, Forbush Man first appeared on the cover of the first issue of Satirical Not Brand X, like drawn by Kirby, whatever. And it says, featuring Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer cowering in fear as Forbush Man approaches. Forbush Man is a wannabe superhero with no superpowers who wears a costume comprising red long johns with the letter F on it. But it's just funny that they said Doctor Doom, the Fantastic Four, and the Silver Surfer were cowering in fear as this idiot in long johns with a pot on his head approaches from the distance. Like, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, you got
just that idea.
Herald of Galactus cowering in fear from some dude with a pot in his head.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna do Nick Fury Jr. here, who has also a mildly convoluted history.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Nick Fury Jr. First appearance, Battle Scars #1, January 2012. That was originally as Marcus Johnson. In Battle Scars 6 in June 2012 is when he was revealed officially as Nick Fury Jr. Marcus Johnson was introduced in the miniseries Battle Scars. He bears a strong resemblance to the Ultimate Marvel version of Nick Fury and the Marvel Cinematic Universe incarnation as portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson. The appearance of the Ultimate version was based on that of Samuel L. Jackson, actually before the actor's portrayal in the films. So they used the model of Samuel L. Jackson for the Ultimate Universe, Nick Fury, ever before he was in the movies.
I remember that when it happened. My brother was saying, he was like, you know who they should cast as Nick Fury, and because I wasn't reading comics at this point, and I'm like, who? And he's like Samuel L. Jackson. I'm like Samuel L. Jackson, because I always knew Nick Fury as a white guy. I didn't read the Ultimate Comics, and he's like, yeah, he's like in the Ultimate Comics, he was like they made Nick Fury Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
like, he looks exactly like him, and I was like, no fucking way. It just blew my mind.
So Marcus Johnson is not the Ultimate Universe Nick Fury. He is somebody entirely different. It's two characters basically that look exactly the same, but they're different people.
Huh.
The Ultimate Universe Nick Fury, as we know it, is currently dead. And this is the son of Nick Fury, the real Nick Fury, who was named Marcus Johnson and found out later on down the line. So yeah, Marcus Johnson was a Ranger in the U.S. Army. Up until recently, he was not aware that his father, well, recently as of 2012, he was not aware his father was actually Nick Fury. For this reason, he was being pursued by several different parties. So he didn't know of his dad as being Nick Fury. Other people did, and this is why he was being pursued. Following the revelation that he was the son of Fury and that he was born as Nicholas Fury Jr., he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. along with his best friend, Philip Coulson. So this is how they also tied Philip Coulson into the comic universe from the movies as well. Marcus inherited his father's infinity formula at birth. It slows his aging process, speeds his healing time, among other like boosts to, strength and stuff like that. Not technically super strength, but stronger than the average, man walking the streets.
I'm jealous of that shit. Why can't Black Widow has that, and she has that same formula in her. That's why she has that relationship with Bucky going all the way back to like before the Cold War and everything.
Like not technically, giving you quote unquote superpowers, but
but you live
probably
like
lift the car up off the back tires or whatever.
And you live for 1,000 years because you age like super slow.
You're healing. You'll stay basically in your prime for an extended period of time.
Oh yeah.
You don't have knees like me at 35 years old, that's for sure. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up the Midpoint Marvelous Facts. We're gonna go into book section number 2 here. And it's going to start with Punisher, number 218, another Matthew Rosenberg joint, and he is a busy man these days at Marvel. This is going to be another Trevitt book. Yep, and take it away here. Give us a listen. Let us know what we're in for.
All right. Matthew Rosenberg is a really busy. He's also doing that Phoenix Resurrection, and he's doing Tales of Suspense, that 5-issue miniseries. So that's pretty crazy,
it's a 5-issue miniseries starting at number 101. That's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Maybe they'll bring it back like 6 months from now, like if they come up with another story at like 106. That could be cool. Like every once in a while, if they want to tell a cool story from characters that don't have their own books, they could use Tales of Suspense and do a mini series. So it doesn't have to be like this special big thing as like, this and this, like a stupid Rogan Gambit miniseries. Sorry to whoever's writing that. I'm just not interested in that book. But that's the point I was making. Anyway, The Punisher, number 218, written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Jesus Christ. Goo. I'm gonna say Goo. Villanova. Thank God you have a pronounceable last name.
Got an easier last name than first name. Yeah.
Colors by Lee Luridge and letters by Virtual Calligraphy's Corey Pettit. Cover by Clayton Crane. I love Clayton Crane. Right now he's doing Exo Manowar. So Solicit goes a little something like this. Frank Castle, War Machine Part 1. For years, Frank Castle has been fighting a one-man war against criminals who endanger the innocent. But when a certain one-eyed operative offers him the tools to take his fight global, how could he say no? Find out how Frank found his way into the War Machine armor. All right. So I like this issue more the second time I read it. So we start off this issue in Red Hook, Brooklyn, at some warehouse where a gun deal is going down between local gun dealers and some Chileans. And immediately within the first 3 panels, we see Punisher strangle someone while the sellers and buyers argue over Chilean's nationality because the seller thinks he's Latvian, which is, you know, where Dr. Doom is from. So the Brooklyn boss, because we never get a name for this guy, so I call him the Brooklyn boss, yells for one of his lackeys, a dude named Andre, which, you know, to bring out the crates of the merchandise. But poor old Andre ain't coming because he was strangled in panel number 3, page
He was
1.
the guy we saw killed.
Yeah, he was the guy who got murdered. Oh no, not strangled. He got his throat slit. My bad. For some reason I thought he was strangled. So yeah, so the crate, you know, other lackeys get the crate and they bring it out and they open it up, and on top of the guns that are in the crate is Andre's severed head with a flashbang shoved in his mouth. It goes off and Frank comes in, fucking guns a-blazing. So the Brooklyn dude starts to scatter, you know, not that it matters because the doors are chained from the outside, and you know it's the Punisher. He's familiar. He knows where he is, and he knows the Punisher's no fucking joke. He shows up, you're fucking dead. That's the end of the story. I got to get the fuck out of here. So the Chilean boss calls them all cowards for running because, you know, he doesn't know who the Punisher is. So bullets are flying, and no one notices Frank disappear for a moment, and then these dudes are so disoriented from all the shots and excitement that they don't even notice that they're standing under a cargo container that's suspended in the air. And then Frank pops off a shot, and the rope holding it just snaps and it crushes all 4 of them, which is just fucking hilarious. I just saw it happening, like before I even, like, my eyes.
Yeah, as soon as I saw them under that, before I got to the last panel, I'm like, yeah, these dudes are squished.
Yeah, these motherfuckers are crushed. So those bastards get crushed, and at this point, the Chilean boss knows it's time to get the fuck out of there. So one of his guys screams out that he thinks it's only one guy doing all of this, and the dude next to him's like, no fucking way, that's impossible. There's no way one guy is taking all of us out this quick. So they see the weapons crate across the way, and the boss yells for one of his guys to grab it, and the guy goes for it, and he immediately just gets popped in the side of the head. He's fucking dead.
As soon as his head sticks out from the box, yeah,
as soon as his head sticks out from the box, he's fucking dead. And then, you know, they end up getting the crate, and they start pulling out all these crazy futuristic machine guns that look like they belong in Halo, and start spraying everywhere. And one of the Chilean henchmen, some dude named Sergey, I think it's Sergey. It's either Sergey or Serge.
Yeah, probably Sergey.
Yeah, the way they pronounce it.
I don't know any Russian dudes named Serge, really.
No. So you know, he thinks he hit the Punisher. So you know, thinking they're somewhat safe, they head for the door and blast it open with the guns. You know, they just start fucking firing it, but boom. I really like the color in this book. So they get outside into the boat that they had waiting for them to head back to the ship that they came in. But when they get there, one of the other henchmen, we get his name. I'm going to try to pronounce it. It's George. I'm going to say George, Juraj, George, something like that.
Yeah. Sure.
He looks back and he notices a figure walking out of the fire in the doorway, and he thinks it's Sergey for a moment. But nope, it's fucking Frank. So they bounce, and the boss says, you know, when they get home, they'll come back and kill the Punisher for what he did to Sergey, because Sergey's fucking dead. We all know that at this point. They get to the ship, and they think they're home free. You know, they're about to climb the rope up. They're all getting ready to unpack the weapons, and then Frank clicks the detonator, and fucking boom. They explode. They blow a hole in the side of the ship, and the ship's just, you know, starts sinking. And it's kind of fucking badass. You know, he had this all planned out. You know, he knew they were coming. He was outside before they came in. He planted that bomb on there. He knew when he forced them to go out that door in a rush and get to that boat that he was just going to take the whole fucking thing out. Pretty smart. So they get outside. Not they get outside. Frank heads over towards his van, and when he gets there, he notices that something's just not right about the van. There's a little drip, which means someone opened that door. Because at the, you know, when in the panel, when you go down the third panel on the right, you could see like a little, the snow is missing from the roof, like someone opened the door. So he knows someone's in there, and he opens the door. He pulls his gun and he opens the door, and when he gets in there, it's Nick Fury. I was gonna call him it's Samuel L. Jackson, but now I know that it's not the Samuel L. Jackson, because for a while I thought, because I didn't know where he came from. You know what I mean? I thought because Miles came over, a lot of Ultimate characters came
I
over, so
was
I
really
figured maybe.
confused. I checked
Yeah,
like multiple wikis and they all said the same thing because I was under the same assumption as you that
yeah,
this
yeah.
Nick Fury
A
was
lot of
just the
people are.
Ultimate Universe one. And I you know what? I heard that story back in the day, the Marcus Johnson story, but it's never an arc I read, so it didn't, reading it
No,
on the internet didn't
let's
really
be
stick in my head. So
let's be real here. Who read Nick Spencer's Secret Avengers, right? When Brubaker, Remender, Warren Ellis, when they were done, you just quit on that title, right? Nobody read Nick Spencer's version. Okay. Interesting side note: Ed Brisson actually wrote a couple of issues of that Secret Avengers run. I found that out the other night when I was flipping through it because I have it, just never read it. But so Frank still has his weapon drawn on Fury, and they have some uneasy exchanges. But Fury knows that Frank's not going to shoot him, and he asks him if he likes dim sum. So they can have a conversation. He's going to take him to this little restaurant he goes to. He walks in and it's kind of funny because the people at the door are like, "Welcome back, Mr. Odinson," So he uses Thor's last name as his like code name, his fake
code
identity.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. So they walk in and they sit down for some food and Frank tells Fury to get to the point before he loses his patience. There's a lot of dialogue in between the door and the table, but it's inconsequential to this
Yeah, it's just
to
bullshit.
rounding up. Yeah. So I mean it's fun dialogue, but it doesn't matter right now. So Fury tells Frank that he's got a job offer that he thinks he'll have some interest in. So he plays on Frank's sympathies for kids. His family was murdered. Yeah, he gives a shit about children being murdered. So and tells him about a military coup in Chernea and how a bunch of innocent children from the settlements nearby were collateral damage, and tells him that the Chileans he dealt with were there at the behest of the Chilean military trying to smuggle guns for the coup. When I say the Chileans he dealt with, that means the one in the warehouse that he just
That he
blew up
killed.
in the ship. Yeah. So they were mercenaries trying to get these futuristic guns to bring back to the general who's trying to, do this coup. So Frank is still curious why Fury came to him. Fury tells him, with shields off the board, Frank is his best solution. The agents he has on the ground are compromised, and he doesn't have time to get approval from Congress or anybody in the government. It's just a mess ever since Secret Empire. So he just needs to cut through all the bullshit and see what the fuck is up with Frank. So Fury gives him all the details on his target, General Armard Petrov. This dude is a super paranoid motherfucker and has a ridiculous amount of muscle at his disposal. So Frank has to go in and at first I got the impression that he wanted him to take him out, but later on you find out that's not exactly what he wanted to do because he's got a bunch of ex-Shield agents there because Shield trained a bunch of people and had them planted within like that army. But once the Shield checks stopped coming after Secret Empire, they all went rogue and joined up with the general. So and Fury needs Frank to go in and clean up his mess because it's all his fucking fault in the first place because it was his operation. So Frank heads off to Chernea, and next time we see him, he's sneaking into a military base. Well, we get more details from Fury in the form of narration telling him about a special weapon that's on the base and how it's his favorite toy, Fury's favorite toy. And he knows where it is, but he can't help Frank get it. So he'll have to get it himself. And when he does, it should help him to level the playing field a bit for anything the general throws at him on his way out. But there's a kicker. Frank is not allowed to kill anybody. It's strictly a snatch and grab job. So no murder and mayhem, no fucking bullets everywhere. He has to be like a ninja and sneak in and get around it. So Frank makes his way into the base all stealthy like. He takes out a bunch of guys on his way. And by the time he gets to his objective, there are two guards between him and the door. But before he can get to them, one of the other dudes hits the alarm. And Frank runs, jumps, and does this cool fucking split kick and kicks them both in the face. Yeah, I mean, I skipped a bunch of cool shit, but it's just him beating people up. There's like a scene where he's like, has himself like hanging up on the ceiling. He drops down, chokes these other two dudes out. But the coolest part is when he runs down and does that fucking split kick like John Claude Van Damme and shit. So after that, he gets through the door just in time because those guards hit the alarm and the army responded pretty fucking quick. and they're right behind him, just firing bullets like crazy. But luckily, he's through the door and he slams it shut. And he's exactly where he wants to be. Frank makes his way into this room, which is an armory, and he's looking at scanning everything on the wall, all the weapons, and he sees a giant case, looks like a case / closet, and he opens it, and he's just got this big fucking shit-eating grin on his face. And at this point, like in the art, his face looks like an amalgam of like classic Punisher and John Barenthal.
Yeah, I thought he's looked like John Barenthal the whole issue.
Yeah, I mean, like, because there are some panels, like, you know, if you go back and read, like, I don't know, like some Steve Dillon stuff or like Leonardo Fernandez stuff, he kind of has like the face of like the classic Punisher, but at the same time, that nose, he's got that John Barenthal nose, and sometimes the nose can make a person. Like, you know, you can see a chick with like a schnozola on her face, you know what I mean? And then she gets a nose job, and she went from ugly to hot just because she changed her nose. So a nose can change your whole entire face when it's, you know. So his eyes glow, and we know what it is at this point because we all saw the fucking cover of the issue. Frank's in the War Machine armor. You know what I mean? He's got that armor on. And then we get some narration from the mission briefing from before, Fury telling him to bring that suit back when the mission is over. And then we see Frank's face in the helmet like you'd see Tony Stark, you know, and he's looking at the operating system and whatnot. And he says, Frank's just like, fuck that, and takes off.
Yeah.
So he's not giving that suit back. It did look a little weird. Like when he was flying up on the bottom left panel, it looked like War Machine. But when he's standing there and he first gets it on and the rain's all hitting him,
too
like,
muscly.
You know, it not only is it too muscly, but the mouth is too, the slit where the mouth is supposed to be.
It looks atrocious. Wide. I agree with you.
It does. It looks bad. It just doesn't look exactly like the War Machine armor. Like, eesh. But anyway, overall, aside from that discrepancy, I really liked the art for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, I liked the opening stuff when he's beating the shit out of all their shenanigans and the Brooklyn guys. I really liked the colors. What's his name? Lee Luridge. So Lee Luridge's colors, when they got the machine guns and they're all firing and the fire is everywhere, like the ambient light lighting up all the guys' faces from the gunshots, like the reflective surfaces and everything. It looks beautiful. I love those colors. When they're outside and the snow is everywhere, it reminds me of that Punisher issue that we reviewed where when he was walking around in pitch dark and everything had this color, this blue color as outlines. So the art was good for the most part, with the exception of that War Machine armor that just looked really fucking bad. There's something from a movie or a TV show that it looks like that I'm trying to think of, but I just can't. But other than that, for an opening issue of an arc, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, but not enough. It's like a hard call for me because I really did like it. It did feel like a Punisher issue. You know what I mean? I mean, you didn't get a lot from Frank in the beginning, but you know, it kind of like you don't see where, you know, it doesn't pick up from anywhere. Like he's just automatically immediately on this mission, and we immediately meet Nick Fury, and then he's immediately on his mission. You know what I mean? It happens really quick. It moves really, really fast. That's why I had to read it a couple times to like really let it soak in and see things, because when you're reading it, you can just breeze through this issue really quickly if you wanted to. It was a pretty quick read. God damn, I'm having a hard time with it though, because like I want to say it's a buy because I love Punisher and I really enjoyed it, but it's not exactly what I thought it was, and I want to say it's a borrow, but I also don't want to let my own like anticipation and preconceived notions of what I thought this book was going to be exactly ruin it. So I'm going to give it a tentative buy because I know I'm going to really enjoy it when we really get down to brass tacks and I see more of him in that armor. And Matthew Rosenberg has bought enough good faith with me that I feel like once he gets into this character, plus the letter he wrote in the back about his love for Punisher and his understanding of the character, I just have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty damn good run, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't feel so conflicted about giving it a borrow because I enjoyed a book by Rosenberg that I had no interest in the team in.
Yeah.
And then like I have interest in the Punisher and I didn't like this book as much as the other one. You know what I'm saying? So that's why
Yeah.
I kind of fall in the borrow category, and then the art wasn't. I mean, I don't mind so much they go with the Bernthal or whatever his last name is look, but
No, that's it.
I don't know.
Bernthal.
It did also kind of bug me a little bit at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because also in the premiere pages and back, they got him like just looking like classic Frank Castle, like more of the look that.
And the Matt Horick.
Yeah.
The Matt Horick art.
Yeah, so there's a little inconsistency there, but that's not really the reason for my borrow. My borrow would just be more of the I enjoy other books by Rosenberg that he does more than this one. I'm not sure he's a perfect fit for Punisher, although I think, like you said, over time he'll kind of get it down. Like he's bought a little good faith in the other books he's done that I've read. You know, I would lean it towards more of a borrow though than a buy for me personally. Like it just didn't hook me like his other books have, I guess. But I could see it getting better down the line.
Yeah,
I guess that's right. I'm also torn on it. Like I thought about it for probably a day and a half to give this a buy or a borrow. But I mean, I like it better than the previous Punisher run, but it's still not buy territory for me, I guess, is kind of where I'm at.
I gave it a buy because I figure it's gonna get good enough that eventually, like 2-3 issues from now, when I end up really liking it, I'm gonna be pissed that I didn't buy that first issue. Like even though it could have been a bar, you know what I mean? So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the cover and the fucking lenticular looks sweet too. But yeah, I kind of leaning more towards borrow on this one. But we're gonna send you guys off to the next book, which is Doctor Strange number 381, and then we're gonna wrap things up here.
That was a good one.
All right, so we got sign out segment, which I have nothing for because my brain is just pissed about the Bills again, and we'll just do end of podcast stuff here. So 3 books I put were Renew Your Vows, Silver Sable, and we'll see if any Legacy Stone stuff is in Captain Marvel, I guess.
Let me check it out. Yeah,
the rest of the books we didn't cover yet are pretty much like, with the exception of Thanos, but
yeah, Thanos. I'll do Thanos. I'll cover Thanos because I'll take Thanos and Captain Marvel. Because you know why? Because it's Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw, and I love God Country so much, and it's the same creative team as God Country. I know I'm gonna love that, but I wanna.
Yeah, I liked his Doctor Strange books. So the week after the book schedule sucks though, so we'll do 3 the following week.
It does. Yeah, it does suck.
And I think we'll even have a hard time finding 3. We might be at 2 podcasts that week.
Yeah, I have it right here because I was looking at it right before we got on, and there's
I was trying to figure it out too. I'm like, oh boy, that's an ugly week.
There's like, what is it? X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue.
I think Darkhawk actually comes out that week, so I'll want to do that one.
It does. So you got Darkhawk. We already covered Moon Knight, so we can't do Moon Knight. Oh, Old Man Logan's Legacy issue comes out.
Oh, okay, yeah. So well, we got 2 at least. So
Darkhawk, Old Man Logan, and yeah, Venom. I don't know. I'm gonna do Venom.
Yeah, we haven't done a Venom Legacy yet.
Yeah, I think we did the first one, but.
All right, so we'll wrap this up because I got to go get tires in my car because it started snowing today.
Oh wait, we're doing Renew Your Vows. That's this week.
That's next week. Yeah, that's this week coming up.
Yeah, this week coming up. Yeah, never mind. Because I was like, I'm kind of excited for that. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, if this one's not good though, I'm dropping it. I'm done because I got the whole thing with Little Annie, and that's all I read. Teenage Annie doesn't interest me as much. I don't know. Yeah,
this is a new writer, right? The Jody Hauser.
Yeah, it's a new everything. It's a new everything.
Yeah. New artist.
All right, here we go. All right, so we're here to wrap things up, guys. No sign-out segment this week. I had a hard time thinking of something after the Bills were demolished for a 3rd week in a row. So I am in full depression mode with our season being just about over because I don't see it improving. But we'll talk about what we're going to do next week for you. We got 4 more legacy books for you. We're going to wrap up the one-shots not wrap it up, penultimate one-shot month with Silver Sable 36. Then we're going to do Teenage Annie and Renew Your Vows, number 13. So we'll see the time skip in that and how that affects everything. Hopefully we get a little bit of Infinity Stone stuff in Captain Marvel 126 after that teaser we got this week. And then we're also going to do the new creative team on the first legacy issue of Thanos, number 13, as Donnie Coates takes over.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
Cates,
that's
Cates.
the lineup for next. Donnie Cates. Yeah, I can't say that right. I won't say it right next week either. But yeah, if you're looking to get a hold of us, guys, again, we'll read your email, share your thoughts from Twitter on the podcast. Hit us up. Madness Marvel 1 on Twitter, Marvel Madness 0@gmail.com for the email. But we're going to get on out of here and out of your hair. Look for us next week, same time, same place. Party's over. We'll talk to you then. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
All right.